Hey, kia ora, welcome back to another little interview session with the Lighthouse Project on the Sweet Now Tour. And tonight we've been lucky enough to be invited along to Martin's gig. So Martin's based down here in the Kapiti Coast at Paraparaumu, and his organisation is Whirlwind. So thanks for inviting us to come down and meet you. Just so grateful, first of all, for the invite, but second of all, to be a part of this session. And I'll let you share a little bit about your philosophy and what we've actually been through tonight.
Yeah, okay. It's lovely to have you here, first of all. And really acknowledge the great work that you guys are doing and what you're trying to achieve here. Whirlwind was co-founded by myself and one other 13 years ago now. And the idea behind it was originally that we could see those stats around men and suicide. And we were aware there wasn't an awful lot out there for men. It didn't seem to be. So we thought, well, let's create something. And the idea was, the simplicity was just really about sharing our stories. So the group's been going about 13 years now. There's probably about 500 to 600 guys that are part of the group. Very, very good, prominent Facebook group, private group kind of area where guys can kind of share stuff in a relatively safe way. And then once a month we just meet and have Kai and chat. But the message really is about sharing our vulnerabilities with each other and acknowledging that each of us has our own vulnerabilities. It doesn't matter who we are or what we've achieved or thought we've achieved in life. Most of us go through something as guys, and we need to learn how to talk about that stuff with each other. One of the shiniest statistics that we've got is that in 13 years of existence, we haven't lost a member to suicide. And many of the guys will acknowledge that they were very much on that suicidal path prior to finding Whirlwind. And the interesting thing is, it's not a clinical organisation, it's simply an organisation of peers, of fellow men. And it's that actually does all the good. So even though I'm a clinician, I don't apply that here. I'm just one of the boys with everybody else. I'm very much an equal. I don't see myself as a leader because we're an organisation of leaders. I see myself as someone who has to express his own vulnerability. Otherwise it's really a bit pointless, it's the wrong message. So the guys know what I go through and I know what they go through, and that works superbly well. And we recognise that when we struggle, we can still help each other, which is really important. So what we've got is a real levelling thing going on here. Everybody recognises everybody else as being just simply another traveller on the road, another guy with his own blend of ups and downs and pressures and stresses and anxieties and whatever else, and it's shared here, and no judgments are made, and that sustains us. So as an organisation, I think we're quite unique in that sense, but it's lovely to hear about some of the other organisations out there that are now appearing at a grassroots level that's probably seeing the same need, and that we can't rely on clinical services necessarily to solve our problems, that we actually need to get up and talk with each other and take responsibility for that for ourselves.
Like, the success is in getting people to speak, but that is the barrier itself, right? Are there any tips that you can pass on to some people out there? Ultimately, we're trying to draw awareness to these organisations. People can come along. How would you suggest that they go about beginning that overcoming that barrier of being honest and being able to share?
I think if you're going to be part of a leadership of an organisation or want to begin something, you can't do this from a hierarchical perspective.
Yeah.
You've got to do this from the same level as everybody else, because you are, and that's about recognising that in yourself. It doesn't matter what you might have achieved, what your bank balance might be, what your job title might be. You've got to be humble enough to go, well, actually, I've got my crap, and here it is. I know once talking to a guy who was battling with, first of all, the label that he had depression, and then secondly, letting people know that he had depression. He worked in a white-collar, high-up government organisation. And eventually, he decided he was just going to tell people, so he did. And he said, I've been battling with depression. He told his boss, he told his colleagues, he told people at the coffee machine, at the water fountain. And what he found, what amazed him, was that when he did this, he opened up conversations with other people about their depression, which he didn't know about. and they weren't telling anybody. So by being humble enough to talk about what you're going through, you give permission for people to acknowledge what they're going through, and you normalise that, you humanise that, and you help people to realise that it is actually okay not to be okay, and that most of us go through that at some point in our lives.